Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's Alison here from The Love of Dance. I hope you're all well. I've had a lot of queries lately about how far in advance couples should start their first wedding dance lesson journey. And so I thought I would do a little post about sharing my insight into the most amount of time that gives you the optimum amount of chance for your bodies to learn some first dance steps and to learn the style of dance that will accompany your first dance song on your big day. Of course, as ever, we're in an unusual situation right now. The unfortunate reality is that some couples have been having to postpone their wedding day, but that doesn't mean that you can't still carry on with your planning and preparation for some sort of ceremony, whatever that may look like. But you probably still want to hit those key targets that a traditional typical wedding day would look like. So the first dance is probably still going to be part of a day. I know also that, I've just finished doing a live with Kelly Halls, the celebrant, who we were talking about doing online virtual weddings, which has also become quite a big part of this wedding planning process for couples who have had to postpone their day. What can they do on the date that they would have been, expecting to have their big ceremony, their, in the beautiful venue with everybody with them on that day, doing all that. What are people doing online to touch on all of those different key parts of a wedding day before they're able to do their beautiful big ceremony once this awful crazy situation is over and done with and we're back to normal, as much as whatever normal may look like in the future. So talking about, therefore, starting to learn your first dance or practice your first dance, now is the perfect time to do it. So, you've got time, possibly. I'm finding that I'm extra busy at the moment. I appreciate that somehow we've filled our days with other stuff. But there may still be time that you find to have a little bit of a practice run of your first dance, and whether that mean just prattling around in your kitchen and trying out some moves with each other, just listening to your first dance song and just trying things out, or of course having first dance lessons. This is a perfect time to start doing that, and I am, as a gift to wedding couples at the moment who are planning their dance and their wedding days and maybe have had to postpone their weddings. I'm offering that online first dance lesson, a free hour with me, just so you can try out some ideas and learn some basic dance steps. So when I'm talking about starting to plan your first dance in advance, the reason why I really emphasise this to any couples that I start talking to when they're at the start of their first dance journey is that I suggest that they have as much time as they possibly can. Don't leave it to the last minute to start learning your first dance. So if that is just learning some basic steps, some basic ballroom social style steps that work with the first dance song, or having something choreographed, I normally say start 6 months in advance of the day that you want to perform your first dance. Don't be scared by that word. Don't worry about it. It's not something that's it sounds a bit like, whoa, performing, it's just I'm not a professional dancer, I'm not going to be performing, but ultimately you will be doing a little performance for your friends and family on that dance floor. So I would suggest that to start learning in advance, you start 6 months in advance, start learning your first dance steps. Start practicing, start having a little play around at home, whatever that means to you, to prepare for your first dance. My catchphrase for in this explanation is practice makes permanent. So practice makes permanent, that you start learning to dance in advance, and your practicing will mean that when you get to the day, that this is a way of moving that just becomes almost like second nature to you, because it's quite often that we'll underestimate how much time it actually takes to learn to dance with each other. So you may be like wild on the dance floor, dancing, you know, messing around, having a little play around at the clubs and, you know, other people's weddings and parties. And then as soon as it comes to dancing with each other, there's just a little bit of practice that some people need a little bit of help on, or, you know, just a little bit of time just to move together. I'm doing this in a very gestural way with my hands, just so you can see that the idea is that when you're doing these social styles of dance, you're moving together without obviously stepping on each other's toes, and, you know, just feeling like you can relax, especially when you factor in the fact that there's going to be potentially a big dress around, or a big train. You know, there's lots of things to take into account. I don't want this to scare you in any way, but, you know, that's just something to consider. So practicing in advance, practicing to make permanent. And then when it comes to practicing in advance, you can then think about working on things like posture. You can think about the steps, practicing the steps in advance, and then ultimately that will give you a whole new level of confidence. So you're thinking about your posture through the dance lessons, through practicing with each other, even if you're standing there with a mirror, you know, standing in front of a mirror and just getting yourselves into holding each other as if, however you feel confident, you know, however feels right for you too. You know, just as like I say, when you're prattling around at home, checking out the posture in the mirror might be, you know, a good way to start getting yourselves used to holding yourselves strong and proud, chests lifted. And then practicing some steps again, whether that is just whatever feels right for you two, or if you're having first dance lessons, it could be, you know, practicing the basic steps in that style of dance that if you were to work with a wedding dance choreographer, then, you know, we would help you through some steps that work with a style of dance, such as foxtrot, waltz, salsa, rumba sometimes works quite nicely with a nice chilled first dance song. And then also ultimately giving you the confidence to stand tall and feel like, yeah, I'm ready for this. I feel comfortable in what I'm about to do. Another little reason why I suggest to start learning the first dance well in advance, 6 months in advance, is that closer to the time, give it a month or so before the wedding, your brains are likely to be so full of stuff that you've got to do that you just, you know, one day to the next, you know how days whiz by, and before we know it, it's like, you know, we've come through a whole week and it just feels like we just blinked and it's gone, you know. And leaving things like first dance practicing to the last minute, you're not going to have the headspace to really like be calm and relaxed, and it'll start to feel possibly you might start to feel the pressure, you know, and then ultimately you'll just potentially have a feeling of like, oh, just, you know, I just can't be bothered with this now. So I would suggest really give it that time, that you know, for your bodies to relax, to chill out, you know, with the headspace. Dance is very much a mind and body kind of experience, so thinking about giving yourselves that headspace close to the time. All right, so as much as you can, learn to dance in advance so that practice makes permanent. Thank you, everybody. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, if you've got any questions, or if you're interested in the free online session that I'm offering at the moment during this lockdown time, please do get in touch. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.